Good evening, everyone. This is a video game review, believe it or not. Specifically, is a review for a freeware game which is available for download through two various means. Well, actually, it's available through it's on a MediaFire server, but it is a game which was a fan-translated game, a fan-made game based off an anime series, but it was a spin-off, also a spin-off of a very popular survival horror computer game, and both have English translations. The game we are talking about is HetaOni. It is a fan-made game, excuse me, based off the hit anime series and manga series Hetalia. Okay? This game is also a spin-off of a Japanese computer survival horror game called HetaOni. Now, for anybody that wonders, HetaOni is also, both these games are, like I said, English translated. HetaOni is strictly survival horror. This game is more of an RPG with survival horror in it. Survival horror RPG. When's the last time you heard that one? Well, if you live in Japan, the last time you heard it was probably Sweet Home before HetaOni. But let's talk about the game, and I'm also going to explain why I have 3 games sitting at my desk right now. First, let's talk about the game. The objective of the game is to get out of a mansion once you're in it. Well, there's a little bit more to it than that. You want to hear the story? The story goes like this. The nations of the world were having a meeting, and also Italy was doing some training with Germany. While he was out, he went to a village, and at this village he met 4 individuals. Now, for those wondering, the 4 individuals actually were the 4 main characters of HetaOni. Alright? No, I cannot remember all their names right off the top of my head because I haven't beaten that game yet. They were talking about a mansion, which is, by the way, the same mansion they visit in the original game, that is believed to be haunted. Well, Italy hears about this, and he's kind of like, that sounds interesting. He, of course, gets called also by Germany, and is hold him back off the training. Well, he eventually goes back to where the World Conference was being held, and he talks to America. Now, America gets his group together, and Germany decides to get his together. America consists of France, China, Canada, Russia. Okay? Italy consists of Japan, Germany, Prussia. Alright? Well, Italy's group makes it to the house first, which wasn't supposed to happen. We'll get to that maybe in a minute. And thus, this is when the fun begins. When they go into the house, they decide to split up and look around after they hear a plate crash. The plate, which is found by Japan in the kitchen, serves as an omen that somebody was in that house that wasn't supposed to be. when he goes back after picking up the shard, he realizes that his friends are missing. And thus, the very eerie, surreal, horrific story of HetaOni can officially begin. Now, it should be noted that as of this moment, the Japanese version of HetaOni is about 17 parts. Matter of fact, 17.2. Because of the earthquake in Japan, the original creator has lost the will to make the game. Therefore, the game is not finished. And it may never be finished. The current English demo goes up to about episode 14 or 15. Last one I played, I believe, was 14. And to a chapter called Goodbye. Now, there are a few major differences between Heta and HetaOni. HetaOni is essentially a survival horror RPG, where you're actually allowed to fight said monster. In HetaOni, Oni, by the way, is what basically referred to as the monster that is either chasing you or you're fighting, depending on the game you're playing. But in HetaOni, your goal is to run from that bastard and not let him catch you or you will die. In this game, there are times when you will have to run from him, but there are also times where you're going to have to fight him. And there's no way around it. You're going to have to fight him a couple of times. Each character is given abilities based on their country, as it were. I'll give you an example. One of the countries, Prussia, uses an ability called Bear the Cross. It's a group attack ability, but it's a very painful one. Romano uses a machine gun attack, which, by the way, is hinted but at one point in the game when he refers to, when he says, don't underestimate the country of the mob. You know, like the Italian mob, Rome, Italy. Alright. Yeah. Just so we're clear, Rome and Romano and Italy are brothers. Romano, Italy, Italy of Verrazano. Okay? Just so we're all good there. This game has some slightly comedic moments, but it also has some moments that will make you really feel for the characters that they're stuck in this place. And I mean stuck. Because every chance they get to try and get out, something happens that they can't. Either someone dies, or a clock broke, and oh yeah, because I'll mention this now. Part of the game's appeal is, you know, around clocks in this game, as opposed to HetaOni, where it's mainly survival of the fittest, motherfucker. Well, in this game it's that too, but they also have the clock element. The clocks basically send you through time loops, which is actually also why this game, if you look at the start menu, it says new time loop, continue time loop, shut down. This game also does a good job of dragging the player, or bringing the player in, especially the English version. Whoever's doing the CG for the English translation of the game, hats off to you, because the original Japanese version of the game doesn't have any form of cutscenes in it. It's all dialogue and fighting, which, don't get me wrong, is a good thing, but it shows how bare bones and simple they wanted to make it. The person who did this game dressed it up a little bit, and it actually looks lot better than most JRPGs in this generation, or even the PS2. And I have two sitting right here that are really good games, but to be perfectly honest, the CG that was done for this game, which was a free game, whew! You wonder if these people were actually professionals. They just don't want to tell anybody. And with that, let's actually get into the meat and potatoes of the review. Let's start breaking it down. Graphically, the game does what it's supposed to do. The characters look as their countries do in the game, although the portraits are actually upgraded between the English and the Japanese version. It's in the Japanese version, some countries were given portraits based on basically how their countries were like good with art or whatever, until you got to a certain point, to a certain room, when everybody's picture pretty much upgraded. Well, same deal here, except some countries were kept their upgraded ones from the start, and some actually didn't look bad from the beginning. They got an upgrade once they got to the safe house. I'll mention that now. In this game, there is essentially two rooms that the demon, or the Oni, will not enter. One is the toilet, which I thought was kind of funny, and the other one is a safe house, which is not available right away in the game. It actually gets built by Germany later on in the game. And it's actually a very useful room, especially when you get low on supplies later in the game, because you're going to need to heal your characters, and you're going to need to have certain abilities at the ready. The prospect of only fighting one monster in the game, because you're essentially fighting the same one, just maybe an upgraded version, that may not appeal to a lot of people. That's fine. But it's the draw, and this is the main character of the game. This is the antagonist to the protagonist. So you didn't really need to dress it up and add a bunch of more characters. Now, there are more forms of this character than there were in... There are more forms of this character than there were in, say, the original Japanese game HetaOni. But that's for the main reason, because you're fighting and to try and kill the thing, and there's also this clock element. Well, the clock also does a few things. One thing is, when you break one, when some characters get premonitions of what's going to happen later or happen before, it actually makes the monster stronger. But it also does one other thing. It actually helps upgrade your characters in the game, because periodically throughout the course of the game, they get different techniques that they can use to aid their allies in battle. Now, here's going to be the big question: is this game worth playing? Oh yeah. Let me show you something, folks. This cost $60. This, at the time when it first ever came out, was about $50. And this was about $40 when I bought it. So, let me see. 60, 110, 150. $150 in games, right? Got news for you. $150 in games, and yet a game which you can download for free pretty much punks them. No, I'm serious. if you ever get the chance to play HetaOni, and I strongly suggest you do, because you really don't know what you're missing if you don't, you will get to play a game which has more soul, more heart, more emotion than most JRPGs in this generation. I love my JRPG genre, but it seriously needs to wake the fuck up. And HetaOni? Yeah, it's a good start. The only problem is, it's a freebie. A free game shouldn't be that good. This one is. If someone says rated on a scale of 1 to 10, giving it a 10 would be an injustice. It would be like a 12. So I want you to do me a favor, you gaming community, and especially some of you elitists out there who would never probably touch a freeware game. Do this. See that thing up above called a search bar? Use it. Look up HetaOni English. Or, look up HetaOni English download. There are download links through DeviantArt from the person who's doing like the CG and helping with getting what's left of the original game translated. There are download links for up to episode 14. Or you could go find the original game, which has an English translation to it, and you can go play that game. But I'm going to warn you, don't play it at 1 o'clock in the morning like I did last night and was like a dumb idiot. You're going to be jumping about 5 feet in the air every time you see that goddamn thing. Perfect game for Halloween, but a perfect RPG to help out what, in my opinion, is a genre that seriously needs helping. You'll have a good night, and I shall talk to you later. Bye-bye.